Welcome, I'm Bobby Ditto, and here's the video. So in today's video, I am going to be continuing my little series, creating a character with a wheel. This is the third video I've made like this, and I'm gonna make it a little bit differently this time. I've actually already completed the art, so I'm gonna do a little voiceover, and yeah, we're gonna see how it goes. So, if you don't know how this works, what I do is I make a bunch of wheels with different categories like aesthetic and hair length and color palette, and I create a character based off of that. So, without anything else, let's just get right into it and start with me spinning the wheels. Alright, so I've added a couple more, but not much. So we're just gonna spin it, see what happens. I also set all of the wheels to be on the same volume level. So yippee, finally figured that out. Let's see here. Oh! It's gonna be the indie aesthetic. That's pretty cool. I actually never grabbed a piece of paper to write any of this down. How can I call myself an artist and struggle to find a pen? Okay, aesthetic indie. And now we can go along with this one. I considered changing this wheel to be like straight hair, curly hair, or something like that, but I decided against it because I don't really have a reason why. If I could have, like, I could have more lists, but it'll get very annoying. Okay, short hair. This is what I'm calling the emotional wheel now. Still got the same ones, I think, as last time. So far we got indie as the aesthetic and short hair. Okay, good. Good that this is happy. When I think of the indie aesthetic, I do think happy. I think happy vibes. I think kind of weird core almost. Okay, now let's see if this is an introvert or an extrovert. I'm like really rolling through these because I actually haven't recorded the start of this video and afterwards, so we'll see what happens. Extrovert. Alright. Let's see if they are more masculine or are more feminine. Alright. They are a more feminine character. Although, on this one, I did have to spin it again because I messed up the settings and I didn't want the audio to get all weird. So, originally it was a more masculine character, so I might kind of make it... I don't know, I'll see. I'll see what I can do. I added a couple options here too, the random 3. I would I'd find a way to get 3 random colors, but it would basically be like the 3 color challenge as like the main 3. I'd obviously be able to use other colors, but just given off of the other rules from this series so far. Oh no. Earth tones? Is that gonna work? Let me quickly look up some earth tone palettes. Guys, I fear that this is not going to mesh with the indie aesthetic. Actually, this one might. That blue is like pretty blue. Muted earth tones. This isn't very muted. This one might also be kind of indie. Okay, I could find an online palette and make this work. I could make this work, I think. I hope. Alright, well, that concludes this part of the video. I'll see you guys when I see you. So that transition was kind of clunky, sorry about that, but don't know if you could tell, but I was pretty tired that day. So I got sketching this real quick with all my sort of mood boards in folders. You could see the indie aesthetic one pop up quite a bit. That one's kind of jarring when it pops up. And then I have one for the color palette as well. So this was my initial sketch before I like had the pose down or anything. I already knew what pose I wanted to do, but I needed to get the character more fleshed out. So I drew this character with like these little pigtails, the short kind of hair, half up, half down, pretty cute. And I also gave her a piercing below her lip. And then I started actually working on the bigger drawing in quotations. So yeah, I wanted to do something really fun with a lot of perspective, because I'm really like, I'm slowly getting back into digital art. I've made a couple illustrations here and there, but like not much, if I'll be honest, but I am getting back into it, slowly but surely. This was like the perfect challenge to get right back into it. So thank you for the person who commented and wanted me to continue this series. It was like a really great challenge to like kind of jump back into things. So the hands, I just kind of figured that out myself. I just kind of winged it, and I think it turned out okay, but it does look a little awkward, but I'm also not one to like super stress about that with stuff like this because I consider these like concept sketches for characters, so it doesn't have to be like the best thing in the world. And, you know, art is all about having fun anyway. Even if it's not perfect, it was still fun. So I had a lot of little things here and there. I was really trying to not stress too much about it. And something that I thought about while I was drawing it was that, like, the hair a little bit looked like Natsuki from DDLC. And I was like, oh, that wasn't intentional, but, like, it doesn't really look like her hair. It's just what I was thinking of while I was drawing it. I don't know why. So, yeah, then I just started giving it more details and giving her outfit some more pizzazz. Uh, don't use that word very often. And then I started working on the like darker sketch, I guess, the more line art-ish sketch. And yeah, the hands were uh kind of weird. They turned out kind of weird. They don't entirely look like hands that like one of the hands looks like it belongs to a different person. You know what I mean? Like they don't look like they belong to the same person, both of these hands. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's just kind of what I thought whenever I was drawing this, and even looking back at it now. So yeah, the angle is a little weird. The perspective is definitely off, but that's okay because I was just playing around with it, just having fun. And yeah, honestly, I think we can probably skip the rest of this sketching because you guys saw me with the initial sketch. We're just doing a little bit of cleanup, and so I think we can skip ahead to the coloring. So you can see various color palettes pop up and disappear from time to time while I was blocking in all the colors, and I started with this light green. I don't really have a reason as to why I started with that one out of all of them, but yeah, blocking out colors is probably one of my least favorite parts of art. Like, it's kind of satisfying to watch back, but it's so, like, tedious in the moment. But, you know, it has to be done, you know? The color palette for this one was definitely a weird one because the indie aesthetic is very focused on that filter, I feel like, that goes over all the phones. Like, that is a very specific color palette and color scheme that goes with it. But I did find that a lot of the references had sort of, if you had put it in grayscale, it almost would have all been the same color, and that's because of the filter. So I did try to lean more towards that part of it, where if it was with the filter, it would have made everything kind of the same tone, or I guess same volume. Is that the correct term? I'm not sure, but if you'd put it in a grayscale, it would have been close to the same shades of gray rather than a more contrasting piece. So I tried to imitate that. Didn't do the best, but I still think it turned out cute. The indie aesthetic feels very 70s to me, feels very 60s, very 70s. It's just that they put that color pop filter over it, or whatever that's called, and it just makes it very vibrant, but also very one-toned, I feel like. I mean, not one-toned, obviously. Like, you can see how bright and contrasting some of the photos that I chose are, but at the same time, some of them, if you put it under a grayscale, like, it looks like it's very colorful, and, like, it's all very contrasting, but when you actually put it under a grayscale, it's not. So that's something that I kept in mind while I was coloring this. I also decided to change her one piercing under her lip to be snake bites, which I think looks pretty cute. Before, it was kind of hard to tell that it was like a piercing, so I just made it two so that it was more obvious. And while I was coloring this, I was listening to some YouTube videos. I don't know, like, lately I've just been kind of wanting to do like more time-lapse videos and more voiceovers like this, so I'm not sure, like, what do you guys think of it? Because I really like to listen to music and to YouTube videos while I draw. You know, I also, like, obviously want to make some enjoyable content for you guys. So yeah, I'm not really sure what to do about that right now, but I hope that, like, the voiceover thing isn't too horrible. I know I'm not great at it, but, you know, I'm trying my best. I wasn't sure what color to make her hair, to be honest. Like, I kept going back and forth, like, should I really make it orange? Like, I don't know, like, but I did stick with it because I think it's quite cute. I feel like I do tend to do that. I tend to give my characters red hair. So I'm not really sure why. I think it's cute. So I think that's kind of what I gravitate towards. I give them red hair, I give them orangish, more natural red hair, and I give them black hair. Like those are the two ones that, like, when I'm just drawing a random character, I feel like that's what I gravitate towards. Orange/red and black, or like a dark bluish gray. Yeah, so you can see I was just going back and forth between the color palettes and trying to figure out what the heck to do. I feel like I could have added more accessories, but you know, it still gets the point across, I think. I hope. And blocking out the colors took such a long time, but that's okay. I didn't do much for shading on this one. I don't think I did any shading, actually. And I just sort of did a little outfit sketch. One of the most contrasting bits that I did add in was the pants. You can see on the one side there's like that checkers. I really love pants like that, and when I saw that in the indie aesthetic whenever I was looking into outfits, I was like, okay, I have to draw that. So I drew it sort of like a half and half thing, where one side is like kind of pastel and has flowers, and the other side is that very contrasty checkered pattern. And then I just started adding a little bit of detail to her face, a little bit of rendering, which turned out cute, I think. I think I could have gone a little bit lighter on the blush in some parts especially, but like it's light enough to where like it's subtle. It's fine. And then what I did next was I added some of the swirly circle bits around the sweater, which turned out pretty cute, I think. I would love to wear a sweater like that. It's not really my vibe. I wear very like alternative, like punk looking clothes, but I do really like drawing this softer stuff. And like I have a character named Emily who would wear a lot of like the indie aesthetic, the softcore, mainly softcore or light academia. That's really her vibe, is light academia and cottagecore. Yeah, and her partner, Lance, would definitely wear this whole outfit, whereas Emily would just wear the sweater. Yeah, I actually don't really know what aesthetic to give Lance, to be honest. Like, I keep going back and forth. Sometimes I draw him in dark academia, sometimes I just draw him in sweatpants, and I'm not really sure what suits him. I feel like he'd kind of be the type of person who's, like, all over the place about his fashion, and he'd just be like, I wear whatever's in the closet, and I make an outfit out of whatever I grab first. But he tries to actually look like he's put together an outfit, if that makes sense. It's just kind of, what aesthetic will it be today? Who knows? Then I just added some wording on the side of this little bubble that I put behind her to kind of center the sketch. And that's actually it. So I feel like this character turned out pretty cute. I think she would get along really well with the first character that we made, the Y2K girl, and she'd probably get along with the cyberpunk as well. Honestly, she feels like a very happy, very outgoing, very friendly character to me. Like, she'd say hello to every stranger she saw walking down the street. Like, that's the kind of vibe that I get from her. So yeah, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's a little different than my previous videos, but I hope you liked it nonetheless, and I will see you next time. Bye!